And the pain of the pump is real. People across the country this past weekend paid about $2 more per gallon of gas than they did the day that Joe Biden came to the White House. So the president actually gave two energy discussion talks last week, one about releasing from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. This was his third Hail Mary pass, all of which have been incomplete in terms of trying to lower the cost of gasoline for consumers. I'm expecting more Hail Mary passes all the way through elections, because the fact gas prices this high because of their policies have been a disaster for this administration as well as for the American people who are paying the price. What we need to do is actually produce more oil, more energy, but releasing from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve does not produce one single barrel, at a point where we're producing 1.3 million barrels per day fewer than we were in 2019. And some call it a gimmick. I think it's much more dangerous than that, because it's drawing down the Strategic Reserve to the lowest point since 1984. So when you talk about a real emergency coming along the line, we're not going to have the energy there that's needed for that emergency. The American people know what we need to do, and that's produce more American energy. The president refuses to do it. He hasn't held an oil and gas lease sale on public land since he's been president. And even if you have the lease, and he says, well, they're not using the leases, you need to actually get from the government a permission to drill. They haven't given any permission to any of those. There's 4,600 of them today waiting for permission. And if you're able to find energy, you need to move it. They're blocking pipeline permits. So the president has his whole list of people that he's blaming, whether it's Putin, whether it's energy companies, whether it's supply lines, the economy. The American people are not buying it at all. The second speech that he gave related to energy had to do with electric vehicles and had to do with minerals that are needed for electric vehicles. There are many critical minerals for which Russia and China have cornered the market, and yet they won't allow us to mine them here. The president gave a speech about that. There are 13 critical minerals of which we are 100% dependent on others for in this country that are needed for electric vehicles. The president wants to have more and more electric vehicles without the minerals. We talked a little bit about that, but yet he has people who are environmental extremists working in the White House for him. That if you're applying for a permit, it takes about 10 years. You've got to walk through a minefield, all to try to get a permit, which you're going to be very lucky to get 10 years. Oh, Canada's 2 years, Australia's 2 years, the United States 10 years. The president's both speeches were empty words from a president whose tank is also empty.